Controversy is nothing new to the World Series of Poker, but this time, a legendary player is upping the ante. One of the most well-known voices in the poker world, Daniel Negreanu, recently revealed some shocking rule changes that have both players and spectators furious. Negreanu, who is well known for being frank and having a thorough knowledge of the game, isn't holding back in criticizing these choices, saying they have the potential to drastically change the WSOP's competitive environment. What, therefore, is the reason for these controversial modifications, and why has there been such a stir? Have a look what's actually happening at the center of the largest poker stage.
If you've watched poker the last few years, you've probably noticed sort of a trend where mostly pros, when they bet like their entire stack, say they have 500K, they bet 495K and they leave 5K back, leaving one chip back.
A developing tendency among professional players that has received a lot of attention is probably something you've noticed if you've been following poker over the past several years. It centers on a strategy where players purposefully leave one chip behind even when they are going all in. They might, for instance, have 500,000 chips and bet 495,000, clinging to the final chip as though it were their only hope. Although it may appear to be a minor detail, this strategy has generated discussion among poker players, bringing up issues of fairness and game integrity. In his most recent video, Daniel Negreanu goes further into this controversial trend, revealing the reasons behind players' actions and what it could mean for high-stakes poker in the future. As always, Negreanu brings his sharp insight and passion for the game to highlight what some believe could be a loophole in the system.
For example, when you think of stalling, right? Everyone agrees stalling is bad for poker. It's bad for the player experience. It's bad all around, but it's also very profitable.
In poker, stalling has long been a problem that irritates players and detracts from the entire experience. It is detrimental to poker, as almost everyone acknowledges. It reduces the game's enthusiasm, slows down the action, and causes tension at the table. The problem is that it's also very profitable. Some players view taking their time as more about taking advantage of the system to obtain an advantage than it is about strategy. Daniel Negreanu explains how poker has been dealing with this problem for years and outlines the steps the game has taken to address it. To prevent excessive delays and keep the action moving, tools like shot clocks and time banks were created. Do these modifications go far enough in improving the player experience? Negreanu isn't afraid to raise concerns about whether poker's existing fixes actually deal with the more serious issues that stalling causes.
Recently, I just came back from Bahamas. Obviously, I was playing the tournaments there, and I saw this come up twice in 3 days. I'm going to explain the situations. They're distinctly different, but they're kind of the same thing. So in the first one, it's two pros. One is Mario Mosbeck, and the other is Jonathan Jaffe. We're in the 25K GG Super Main Event.
Daniel Negreanu recently, during 3 days of playing in a high-stakes tournament, saw two instances of an odd circumstance. He noticed an underlying commonality between these occurrences, despite their slightly varied contexts. In the first, Mario Mosbeck and Jonathan Jaffe, two renowned professionals, faced off in the $25,000 GG Super Main Event. What transpired on the turn was more significant than the specifics of the hand itself. It demonstrated a strategic exchange that demonstrated the complexity of mind games and decision-making that may take place under such intense strain. As Negreanu recounts the scenario, he unpacks how even the most subtle moves between top players can have significant implications, not just for the hand, but for the integrity of the game itself. It's a moment that exemplifies how competitive poker continues to evolve and challenge its own boundaries.
Like imagine, watching at two tables and some guy just uses 4 minutes of the clock waiting for other people to go broke on other tables. It's kind of, now the broadcasters have to just fill dead air explaining what he's doing. Not fun, not cool.
Imagine sitting at a poker tournament watching the action unfold, and suddenly, one player takes 4 agonizing minutes to make a move. Why? Not for strategy, but simply to wait for players at other tables to bust out first. It's a frustrating scenario for everyone involved, viewers, players, and broadcasters alike. The energy at the table drops, and the game grinds to a halt. For audiences, it's no better. Broadcasters are left scrambling to fill the dead air, explaining the stalling tactics instead of focusing on exciting gameplay. It's neither fun nor engaging, and it's certainly not good for poker's reputation. Daniel Negreanu points out how these deliberate delays exploit the system, benefiting the staller at the expense of everyone else. Such behavior not only disrupts the flow of the game, but also diminishes the viewing experience, highlighting the need for stricter measures to curb this damaging trend.
One of the other reasons is, I'll go with it in the right order. Okay. One of the other reasons you could do it, and everyone says, no, that's not why I do it. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we take your word for it, but it doesn't matter because you get the benefit anyway.
One of the more frustrating aspects of certain poker tactics is how they offer players an undeniable benefit, regardless of their intent. Daniel Negreanu touches on a situation that perfectly illustrates this. At a final table of a turbo event, one player, Sean Deeb, made a move that raised eyebrows. With a stack of 715,000 chips, he went all in for 700,000, leaving behind a mere 15,000. While some might argue it wasn't intentional, the advantage it creates can't be ignored. This tactic, commonly used by professionals, places less experienced players in a difficult spot. The remaining chip acts as a lifeline, allowing the player to stay in the game while others battle it out, potentially busting first. For Negreanu, it's not about intent. It's about the inherent advantage such moves provide, which disrupts the fairness of the game and challenges poker's integrity at its highest levels.
And also potentially ladder up, right? So 8 people at the table, these two take actions that benefit both of them financially. Whenever that happens, that's collusion. I'm not saying it's immoral. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's cheating, guys. It's within the rules, but it is colluding.
In poker, even subtle actions can blur the lines between fair play and strategic exploitation. Daniel Negreanu highlights a scenario where 2 players at the same table make moves that, while within the rules, create a financial benefit for both. Imagine this. One player intentionally leaves behind a few chips when going all in, keeping themselves in the game, while another plays cautiously to avoid eliminating them. The result? Both players maximize their chances of moving up in the payout ladder, often at the expense of others at the table. Negreanu is clear. This isn't cheating or breaking the rules, but it does raise ethical questions. By mutually benefiting each other, these players engage in what could be considered a form of soft collusion. It's a legal loophole, but one that challenges the competitive spirit of the game and sparks debate over where strategy ends and fairness begins. Daniel Negreanu has taken to social media to advocate for bold changes to poker rules, sparking a heated conversation about the future of the game. As a GG poker ambassador and one of poker's most vocal proponents, Negreanu isn't afraid to push for reforms he believes will enhance the player and viewer experience while safeguarding the integrity of the sport. Among his suggestions are bans on face coverings and sunglasses, as well as a rule that would classify bets of 90% or more of a player's stack as an all-in move. Negreanu also proposed eliminating card protectors on the table, a seemingly minor adjustment with serious implications. When asked about the reasoning behind this, he revealed concerns over miniature cameras being used to secretly capture images of cards as they are dealt. This shocking revelation has already prompted poker stars to adopt a new card-dealing method to combat such high-tech cheating tactics. Negreanu argues that these changes are necessary to maintain poker's fairness and excitement. By addressing loopholes and potential abuses, his proposed rules aim to create a cleaner, more engaging environment for players and fans alike. The poker community is now abuzz, debating whether these reforms are essential steps forward or overly restrictive measures. The rise of face masks at poker tables, especially post-COVID, has ignited a spirited debate within the poker community. Isaac Haxton, one of the world's top players, has become the face, albeit a masked one, of this controversy. Despite facing criticism, including a public plea from Phil Hellmuth to remove his mask, Haxton has stood firm, prioritizing his comfort and safety over detractors' opinions. Enter Daniel Negreanu, who has stirred the pot further by suggesting a complete ban on face coverings and sunglasses at poker tables. According to Negreanu, removing these items would enhance transparency and fairness, creating a more authentic playing environment. His stance has found support among many in the poker world, but not everyone agrees with his broader proposals. Negreanu's other suggestions, banning card protectors and automatically considering a bet of 90% or more of a player's stack as all-in have sparked significant pushback. Six-time WSOP bracelet winner Brian Rast raised concerns, arguing that the 90% rule could complicate gameplay rather than simplify it. He emphasized that leaving a small amount behind isn't always a shady tactic and sometimes serves strategic purposes. While Negreanu's ideas aim to streamline and protect the game, they've reignited a larger debate about balancing tradition, strategy, and modernization in poker. The poker world continues to grapple with these divisive issues as players and fans debate the balance between fairness, strategy, and tradition. Whether these changes take hold or not, one thing is certain: poker's evolution is far from over.